Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Just giving it a few seconds while I'm sending out a few little invites here and there. But thank you to everybody for joining. Let me get Bitcoin up here as my co-host. Let's get women of Bitcoin, sorry, up here as well. Let's get Christina Lamas up here as well. And let's get Decentra Suze up here. Give me a couple of seconds, people, and I'll be back. Okay, so welcome to, which is now the fourth edition of Coinscrum Spaces, and we've got an absolutely great space for you today. We've had a few good spaces over the last couple of weeks, but this one we have been definitely most excited for out of all of them, because we definitely want to support more women in the space, not just in the general space, but for Bitcoin specifically. Obviously, we feel that this is a good time to be launching an initiative like this, and we are definitely honored and happy to be working with women of Bitcoin to bring this all to life in some ways. So, yeah, welcome Christina, welcome Susie, and I think we have Claire joining on the Women of Bitcoin profile there. Can you guys hear each other? Christina, are you
Yes,
unmuted? Can you hear me?
hi, Nat.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I was just thinking
Hi
there was
Nat, I
something
can hear
that didn't
you.
sound. Susie, yeah, Susie's here as well. I think Claire's having a bit of trouble being able to jump in up to the stage. So I'm going to send another invite and see if we can get her up here. But in the meantime, Christina, would you like to introduce yourself? And
Hey Nat, I'm not sure if it's me, but your
okay,
sound didn't quite work.
can you hear me now?
Was
Can
that
you
the
guys
same for
hear
you,
me?
Christina?
Hi,
Yeah, I can. Yeah, perfect.
hi.
Yeah.
I think my sound was a bit delayed. Can you hear me all right now?
I
Yeah,
can
I can
hear
hear
Thank
you.
you
you.
perfectly. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nat.
Okay,
It's great to
wonderful.
be here today.
Great, nice one. Oh, right, I think we've got Claire up here as well
Yeah.
now. Okay,
Can you
wonderful.
hear me?
Okay, right. Yeah, I can hear you, Claire. I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Thank you.
So just to recap a quick bit, and get one of you, I think it was Christina I aimed it at, but Claire, you're welcome to do as the co-host. But could you introduce both of you yourselves and introduce a little bit about Women of Bitcoin?
Hey, yes. My name is Claire. I'm a co-founder with Christina. And not long ago, I was privileged to go to the Le Femmes Orange events in Stuttgart, Germany. And I realized that there's a definite need in the UK for a group which Rachel Geyer runs in Germany. Since then, I've been to a couple of amazing Les Femmes Orange events also, which have been so heartwarming and inspiring. Such inspirational women that, so I feel that we need to get these women together in the UK too. How about you, Christina?
Hi, thank you, Claire. I just want to check with you guys if you can hear me okay, because I was hearing myself with a huge delay earlier. Is this sounding all right?
Perfect,
Perfect.
perfect.
Okay. Well, my story is a bit similar to Claire, but it did take me a couple more months than her to realize that I think women of Bitcoin needed a space. So I've been involved in in Bitcoin since, wow, 2014, since I was listening to Max Kaiser on RT. I was a bit of a gold bug, and that was the first time I heard of digital gold. And, like most Bitcoiners, kind of on and off Bitcoin until I really got deeply involved in from 2017, 2018, and only recently I've been going to conferences. The last one I went to was in Madeira, and that's where I met Claire. And it was the first Bitcoin women event I attended, and the atmosphere, the everything was just so right. And I remember mentioning to Claire, we need to do this in every conference. And she said, I was just thinking about that a couple of months ago. So I think it was kind of that in that conference, we both decided we need to get involved and make this happen. And that's kind of how we got here. We've been working for 2-3 months. We are only starting and we don't have much funding, but we are really excited about doing this.
Okay, and can you kind of speak a little bit more to where kind of like you had the idea and why you guys kind of decided that it's important so much within the UK specifically?
Do you want to talk about that, Claire, a little bit?
Yes, I can. Well, the UK, I mean, I'm not currently living in the UK, but I'm about to move there. And but yes, I just think that women need to have financial education, and they need to learn about Bitcoin. Often women, well, not every woman, but many women leave it to their other halves. And I don't think that's a very wise thing for women to do. A lot of women that are already into Bitcoin don't really know about a female community or gather together. So I just think it's really nice for the women to get together to learn about how to buy it or how to use it every day. And I think it's really useful for a security for women. So that's what Christina and I were talking about originally. And I will be moving to the UK next month. And obviously it's my mother tongue to speak English. So it's a lot easier to speak about Bitcoin in English than it is where I am at the moment. It's a bit too technical for my language. But yeah.
And sorry, yeah, just to kind of pull back a little bit there.
Mm.
Both of you also mentioned Susie, who we have down here, and I didn't mean to leave you out at all, Susie. So Susie, do you want to kind of jump up as well and tell everybody in the room a little bit about yourself and also how you came to be involved with the movement?
Hi, yes. What was the first question? When I get two questions, I can never remember what the first one was. What was the first one, Nat?
A little bit about
Oh,
yourself.
crikey,
Although
sorry.
if they've been paying attention, if they've all been paying attention, they should know you already, right? Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah.
So, yeah, I'm Susie, and I am the co-founder, director, and head of mining and sustainability for Bitcoin Policy UK. And I also am a Bitcoin journalist. So I went to my first event. I generally don't like women's events. It makes me feel sad that they're even needed to be a thing. I worked in the city for, since the late 90s, and I don't think I ever really experienced this kind of divide before. And I was thinking today, actually, that when I went to the Le Femme Orange one in Prague, and I thought, crikey, there are lots of really, really awesome women in the space, but somehow they're not getting through. I didn't know about them, and that made me feel really sad. It's like the Bitcoin price being suppressed right now. Like it feels like they're just not coming through, but they do exist and they are there. And this type of group is really needed. I completely changed my mind when I went to Rachel's event. I went in thinking, God, I hate women's events. I don't like groups of women. And then I just suddenly thought, Jesus Christ, no, this is exactly what's needed, and did a complete 180 on my thinking.
And
So that's me.
that's
Yeah, and I mean, yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
Nat, I
Christina,
was
go on,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
if I can add, something came to mind, so much echoing what Susie was saying. I work in London. I'm from Spain originally, but all my working life, I've worked in the UK. My last job was with Google, always with big corporates, and I never experienced any discrimination as a woman, so I was never in too much into women only events. But when I went to Women of Bitcoin in Madeira, it was just so good to feel part of a community, because I've enjoyed learning and being part of Bitcoin for so long. But it is true that most of the people I got my learning from were men, and it didn't come to mind. But I just felt really, Bitcoin feels like home to me, and that was like my room. It was like my place, and I just wanted to echo that what Susie said, that it just feels right for us to have a place, because yeah, it can feel not lonely, but like you are the only woman in Bitcoin, and it was great to find this community. So we wanted to promote it and support it.
I also just want to add that we don't have the intention of, I mean, obviously it's called Women of Bitcoin, but it's not an idea to be against men. It's not like a feminist idea. It's actually so we can work with men. I think Rachel Geyer puts it perfectly, that we're yin and yang. We both have different amazing skills, and if we can all work together, then I think it would work better for Bitcoin in the future.
Of course, and just to kind of echo what all of you have just said there. I mean, me and Susie. I mean, I know Susie quite well, and me and Susie are always complaining, shall I say? You know, like that there's lots of like women in crypto, women in blockchain, and but not really focused so much on what's going on, you know, with Bitcoin. So having a lot more women be, you know, like knowledgeable, shall we say, or part of this group to be able to just understand more of what's going on for Bitcoin. Because I think in a lot of the other events that I've come across, like the general events, when I speak to a lot of the women, they have a grasp of blockchain, they have a grasp of crypto, NFTs, you know, all of the fancy words, but I
Hey,
come
Nat, when
across
you
very
say a
few that
grasp,
have.
what exactly are you talking about? You mean they know the words and they can spit out a few kind of like the spiel, but like, come
I,
on, it's all nonsense,
Well,
don't you?
Susie, I'd say you're better to speak. You're better qualified to speak on it than I am. But I'd say, yeah, again, the ones that I come across, you know, there's very few that even some of the ones that have been in the space for a very long time is quite surprising. So, you know, it's definitely refreshing and I mean, me and Nick were definitely happy that you guys wanted to collaborate, you know, to get some stuff done. So, you know. Definitely more women, MOAR, yeah, right. So so after obviously letting us know a little bit about the background of kind of like the reasons for why you brought together the initiative, can you give us like a introduction to some of the initiatives that you're like working on right now, or what are the first kind of things that you hope to kind of achieve in your mission, or what is your general mission? Let's start there.
Should I talk a little bit about that, Claire? Start with that.
Yes, please.
So, thank you, Nat. I just wanted to mention a couple of things, and this is part of our mission, but it's more kind of in general. A bit like with what Claire said about it's a women's group, of course, that's our focus, though we are not specifically excluding men or working against men in any way. In fact, today we have two men to thank for this event, because they are supporting us. Scrum has been brilliant in helping us and supporting us. So same as with that, I would say with Bitcoin and crypto in general. Our focus is certainly Bitcoin is our first love, our love, and we want to dedicate ourselves to Bitcoin. We both, Claire and I, understand Bitcoin is more than a technology, and we want to support that, but we are not against crypto, excluding crypto, anything. It's just not our focus. Our focus is Bitcoin. And in terms of more specifically the mission, it is almost our name speaks by itself. We are going to focus on building a vibrant community of women. There are, I'm sure, many women like myself or Claire who, especially myself, I'm talking for me, I wasn't going much to events, I wasn't much connecting with a community. And once that I did, it's just great. It's fun, and it's just great fun. A great learning experience. Is just fantastic to have it. So the main purpose and the mission is to get this vibrant community of women together, championing and focusing on Bitcoin in terms of education, in terms of community, and as I said, having some fun as well, and fellowship. And in terms of the initiatives, besides the technicalities of getting together our channels and our website and a space online to present ourselves, we want to be able to start organizing initially meetups, and then in time more events and lectures and workshops, and these kind of events a bit more sophisticated where we can share knowledge, exchange ideas, support each other, and have, as I said, have a little bit of fun, socializing, networking, and enjoying each other company. I'm not sure if Claire, you want to add a bit to that from your point of view.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, the main goal is to create a community so that we can find each other and gather together and share knowledge. Also, as the group grows, maybe education. And of course, yeah, then we'll be looking at both men and women to help with education, because whoever's best for the job, really, that can help people understand the technology, because obviously people come to Bitcoin for completely different reasons. It might be maybe tech, or it may be financial, or it could be to do with monetary security, or it could be to do with human rights. So there's different reasons people come, so they need to learn about how to actually use it, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that's one key thing, that there's different reasons that people begin their journey in Bitcoin. I mean, Christina, it's funny to hear you say there, back the days of Russia Today and Max Kaiser and Kaiser Report, because that's like where I first picked up, on what Bitcoin was, and it was like, hey, wait, this might actually be something, So that's literally what got me. Max Kaiser screaming and shouting at the top of his lungs. If some of you are old enough to remember that, shall we say? But yeah, like it's really really funny that people coming from these different angles, and they come in for these different reasons of understanding. But as they understand more, they start to peel back the layers and start to kind of really realize that this is not just, hey, like some kind of well, it is, but it isn't magic internet money, right? Yeah. So yeah, definitely interesting to hear. And Susie, what did you have any kind of like follow up on what Christina and Claire was saying there as well?
The one thing that I was thinking actually was I didn't go to the meetup in Madeira, but I did benefit from it because I realised how people were forming friendships, and then if I was friends with the people that had formed those friendships, because I remember just sitting down at a table, it was really really lovely actually. Claire, you probably remember this, and I was trying to think about what made Madeira different, because there were lots of things that made that conference quite special. And then I think Claire came and sat down, and then Monica came and sat down, and then Valerie came and sat down, and it was the first time that I'd ever kind of experienced, and it was because they'd all met at the event beforehand, and so I think that was when I first started to realise that actually they're very, very useful, because you go to one of these conferences and then you start spotting people that you recognise rather than just somebody who's in a crowd. And I even benefited from the ones that I didn't go to as well, which is the point I'm making. Is I think its reach is much further than you appreciate than just going to the event.
Exactly. I think that's why we need to have these events, especially before conferences, but so we can recognize each other, so we've met each other. And I just think it's really unique. It was so heartwarming that there was women there just going up and introducing themselves and saying, "Hey, I saw you at the women's event." And so the more we recognize each other, the more we can just support each other in this space, I think.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, because it is a boys' club at the moment. I've seen it, I've felt it, I know it is, and I know that there are amazing women in the space. I've been questioning why I didn't know about them before, and we have got to kind of help each other. I mean, we've got to raise each other up and make sure that we do whatever we can to make sure that we have a seat at the table, because adoption is never going to happen unless there's a 50-50 split. You know, there's like 50% women on the planet, and you know, we have to make sure that we're properly involved and not sidelined.
Totally agree.
Totally.
Definitely, and literally just yesterday I was saying to both Christina and Claire there that, you know, like I've got lots of daughters, right? So I like the fact that building that foundation now will enable those younger generation of young ladies and women to actually understand what's going on and see it, you know, a lot earlier than you know, some of the other counterparts that they might have.
Well, the thing is, now I'm
You
actually
know,
I feel ashamed. I would feel ashamed to bring my daughter into this space. And she's obviously understanding Bitcoin through osmosis. One day she may think that what I'm doing isn't completely stupid because I'm her mum, and she might actually decide to go and do something in the field. And it just breaks my heart, because I can't believe what she would be walking into. Because I didn't even think it existed. I thought we'd left all of this in the past. And so I think that I kind of do it for her, because I wouldn't want her to enter this space as it currently is.
Although I've got three daughters, three of them that are interested in Bitcoin, I think. I mean, two are quite active in, well, all of them I think are quite active in the space, although they're all young still, two of which are listening right now, I think. And I think they're part of this change. They're part of the change that we're making for them, I think. So this is, I think it's important that we start to pave the way for them, and so that they do understand to look after themselves and their future.
And if I can add to that, Claire, I've been trying to explain to my daughter. I have just 17. She just turned 17 a couple of days ago. 17-year-old daughter. When I try to explain to her what Bitcoin is, she's not interested. But when I came back from Madeira and I gave her Claire's daughter talk, which she had in online, she learned about it from her, because she wanted to listen to it from a younger voice. And this is how important these things can be. Who you hear from can be as important as the subject itself.
exactly, and I definitely I want to use that talk now. So please make sure that I get the link to that talk, because I'd love to you know, pass it on to my daughters as well.
Right.
There'll
Yeah,
be more as well, because Sophia was part of the Prague youth education as well, and she was interviewed by Jack Mallers, no less. So that's an interesting one.
Ooh,
So
Claire, we need that link when you have it to put it in
yeah,
our
I don't
website.
think they've released it yet. It was the Amitiage stage, so it was a really cool event. So he was blown away by the future of Bitcoin. So it's really pretty cool, I think.
Yes, sometimes we can think it's small things, but it can make a huge difference. Sometimes you just want to hear about something from a voice which is similar to yours. I guess it just feels more comfortable, and I think that's part of what we are here to do.
Exactly. I think you learn from people that you recognize. So the younger ones recognize other kids talking about Bitcoin, and same, I think, with females. It's sometimes when you're learning something, it's like, oh, it's not just me. So yeah.
That's the power of familiarity.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with me. I mean, my ones when they were younger, they you know, they cottoned on to a little bit of it, you know, like, and they got interested for a little spout. But yeah, as you said, they kind of get to a stage sometimes where they think, oh, you know, it's boring, and we've got to remember as well that even you know, being girls or not, they're also just children, so they've got lots of different things going around in their head as to what they'd want to be interested in. But definitely hearing it from, as you said, a voice that is similar, that's where, you know, you kind of see their little brains ticking away, and they and they eventually, you know, getting involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Okay, so apart from, obviously, I know we're going to be doing a few more Twitter Spaces going forward with you guys. What would you say in terms of, let's say, initiatives like IRL? Because I know there is something brewing for IRL. I don't want to get everyone too excited, but maybe that little bit of alpha.
Do you want to talk about that, Claire? Because part of the reason we are taking a little bit of time is we need Claire back in the UK, and she's only moving at the end of August. So I'm going to let her talk about that.
Well, yes, and also the fact that it's about to become summer holidays soon. So I figured that in order to make a gathering of women together, I presume that we need to have availability of most people. So yes, we were thinking and hoping to arrange an event with the help of Coinscrum and their advice and knowledge, maybe for mid-September time, so that we can gather in London, mainly because it's a central place for now, as the first event. And then, yeah, I think we haven't made any exact plan, but that's the thinking so far. Do you have anything else to add, Christina?
Yeah, I mean, I would be very open and interested to hear any ideas about where would be a good place. We are thinking mid-September because of a number of reasons, but we are at this point our minds are 100% open to any ideas where we need to learn as well how to do this as well as we can. But in principle, we are thinking of that mid-September in London, and any ideas that you guys can shoot our way, let us know. We are planning to have a website ready for mid-July, and we already have a couple of social media channels. Obviously, one is in Twitter, and that's the one we are going to be probably more active in. So do let us know. We'll welcome any ideas, all your knowledge, anything. Thank you.
I was trying to find my unmute button there. Did a bit of funny business. I don't want Twitter to start rugging me. Right. So We also got Witcoin up here, who's, as most of you will know, my trusty co-host and partner within the Coinscrum organization. Witcoin, I know we get you up normally to give your guru advice and great words towards the end. So do you have any questions for the ladies up here on stage before we open the floor and invite some others from down below to come up?
Hello, everybody. I don't really have any questions. I just want to say that I'm very happy that this is happening. I think it's well needed. It's like we were saying at the beginning, there's a lot of women in crypto, but I wouldn't say that any of them are, well, not any of them. There's not enough of them that are Bitcoin native in that sense. And I feel like, and this is a Coinscrum perspective as well. It's like Bitcoin first, teach everybody about Bitcoin first. And then if everybody else wants to go to the casino and buy NFTs or do whatever the hell they want, let them do that. They're educated on what the standard really is. And we need as many channels and as many points of view and as many different types of people from different walks of life explaining that to everybody, because that is, like Susie says, like mainstream adoption is not going to happen in a linear way. It's going to be a network effect, just like Bitcoin is. So that is this happening, because I think a couple of months ago, I think I woke up one day and I just mentioned that, and I was like, we need some Bitcoiner women, because it's just all guys all the time. It's always guys. And then this started to emerge. So I guess I maybe asked the Cosmos, and the Cosmos put this in front of us. So yeah, I'm really, I'm full behind this. Like, we will give you as much support as we can. And I think this will fly. And particularly, we're running into a big bull market. So I think this is perfect. Everything's perfect about it. It's going to fly. It's going to be great.
It did feel like the stars aligned, actually, because you reached out to me. I had absolutely no capacity. Remembered having a conversation with Claire in Madeira, where she was saying how impressed she was with Rachel's event. And then I think Claire had set up a UK Women in Bitcoin group. So I knew where to go to ask if anybody wanted to do this event with you. And it was just easy, and it just kind of all slotted into place. And it does feel like the universe kind of opened it all up.
Totally echoing that, Susie. And it's quite interesting that after I talked to Claire, we decided on that. And then she said, oh, there's someone who's going to help us, Susie. And then you turned out to be on Bitcoin Policy UK, that I was going to volunteer about a year and a half ago. And you see, that's how it just all feels right at this point.
Yeah, totally feels right. The universe is talking to us. It's totally needed right now.
And throughout all of that as well, we're not even going to mention the fact that, like, all things, all roads lead to Bitcoin, and we are back in, let's say, Bitcoin talking point territory for the mainstreamers out there. So, and seeing all of the innovation that's happened, let's say, on Bitcoin since the last cycle, all coming around, and then having these conversations that me and Nick have been having with everybody, and then having the conversation with Susie and Bitcoin policy, starting up within that time of the last 18 months. And it's just, it just really does feel like the stars are aligning on everything here. So, before we move on any further, what we should do, I think, is maybe invite some questions up from the audience. I haven't got any hands up at the moment, but I'm sure there's some of you down there that want to ask at least one or two questions. So put your hands up. Don't be afraid to jump up and ask some of our lovely hosts at least one or two questions just to find out more. Not a single person. Wow. What is going on? I think we're doing these spaces so cleanly and clear that everybody is like, okay, yeah, we've got all of the information. You need to let us know, is it working, people? Is it getting through to you? Because it seems like with all of our Twitter spaces, everyone comes in, they listen so patiently, and people are reacting and everything. So great. But yeah, we have very, very few questions. So I wonder why
I
that
think
is.
they're doing the washing up. That's usually why I don't ask a question. There's too much noise going on in the background usually. I've come out for a walk.
We have a questionnaire.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Hey, Frank. Yeah, all good.
Appreciate it.
Frank, hey!
Hey, Suze, how you doing? Great space. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I don't mean to be a dude here hogging the mic. I just know that someone just asked for a question. And there's one big question that I had. I do the best I can to try to document what women in the space are doing. I'm a huge fan of people like Lorraine Marcel of Bitcoin Data. There's a woman named Bota in this space right now. And if you're not following her, you should be, because she's super badass and she does amazing stuff regarding regulation. Bitcoin mining, a lot of things that are really, really important for pro-democracy and human rights activists around the world. On that note, I'll shout out Ludmila Kozlavska and Anna Chekovich. One of my first teachers in the Bitcoin space was Caitlin Long, still one of my favorite sort of Bitcoin teachers out there. Mike, the question that I wanted to ask, and I'm just curious, so I know that Bitcoin events tend to be like, dudes only sorts of things. And believe me, nobody wants that to change more than me. I don't love being surrounded by tons of dudes, especially white dudes. So it's I'm totally open to a change. But I guess my question is, especially for conferences, do you find that a lot of women are submitting, like, or applying to speak at these conferences and then being rejected? Or is it more that they don't necessarily feel welcome or comfortable speaking at these conferences? I'm just curious.
I personally think that people just don't think. There's more and more women speaking recently, and they've got a lot to offer. But equally, the best person should be doing it. The best person for the job should be doing it. I just think they get overlooked. I don't think there's any ill intention. It just I suppose it's a legacy thing of the Bitcoin space as well. So maybe that has something to do with it. What do the others think?
Well, I had a thought about it, and I don't know if it's even valid. But something that I've observed personally is that so many times, especially with I've worked in technology for pretty much all my life. First satellite communications, then Google. This kind of, high tech, and my observation is that in general, it's not to say every single time, but in general, men are very good at building tools. And, in this case, I could say, I don't know who is Satoshi and what, is it female, is male, but I'm going to guess maybe is male. The males are really good at building tools, but females are very good at coming after the fact and using these tools in the world. And I don't know, but my feeling is that something like that could be happening as well. Satoshi gave us Bitcoin. We all develop it. There are more males in the space for sure, but at some point we will come in and start using it. It's just that adoption, we're still early. I do believe we are still very early.
That sounds like social conditioning to me, though, because I get really fed up with being put in a box and said men are like this and women are like this, because I don't think I fit into any of those categories, yet I kind of get hived off into them because of generalizations. And I think that social conditioning can also play a part in this because of just historically. I mean, when you think about it, it was only 100 years ago that we got the vote. Women generally stayed at home. They weren't even allowed to. I mean, some women in Africa can't even have their own inheritance, so they're financially disadvantaged by society, and trying to get back from that is really, really difficult. So I don't like the men women pigeonhole thing, because I don't think we have a level playing field to decide what men and women are good at yet. But I don't think that it's intentional at all. I think that some people don't think because it's not their experience, and there's no malice there at all, but you can only see the world through your own eyes. And unless you've heard it from someone or seen it for yourself, why would you think about it? So, for example, the best panel that I saw at Prague was Sophia's panel, which was women in Bitcoin education. And I didn't like the fact that it was called Women in Bitcoin Education. It should have been called Bitcoin Education. But the guy that named it didn't do it out of any malice. He said he thought it was empowering, and I really believe that he thought that. And I think it just has to be pointed out in a nice way, because nobody means any harm.
True, true.
Can I
Can I just
also
chuck
add
something?
something?
I'll pause. I was just going to say one thing. There is a privacy scientist called Cynthia Dwork, and she is the first person to mention proof of work algorithm. And it was way back in the 90s, which then obviously Bitcoin adopted. So when we think about building and stuff like that, it is social conditioning. But Cynthia Dwork, as far as I'm concerned, well, not even as far as I'm concerned, I'm a big privacy guy. She's also built a thing called differential privacy, which protects us and is in the process of being implemented in places to protect us against machine learning algorithms and deep learning algorithms. So I think women are as good as builders as men. I think it's an opportunity thing that they haven't had. And I'll go kind of like segue here, because I've had a whole other career for almost 2 decades as a marketer. And I did the conference circuit for years, and it was predominantly men speakers. And then about 5 years ago, the conferences themselves started doing call-outs for women, and were like had a quota and decided that this has to happen. And I have a really smart friend who's a marketer, and she has kids, and she was basically like, I cannot always make these conferences because I have childcare and all these other things that stop her from getting to them. So what she ended up doing is speaking to the conference and saying, can you pay for my childcare for those days and I'll come and do it? And this was a shift, and many of the conferences said yes, and the ones that said no didn't get Jill's excellent presentation, and she was fucking brilliant. And they missed out, and all the guests at that conference missed out on Jill's excellent performance and excellent knowledge.
That's brilliant.
Amazing. That's absolutely an amazing story.
Childcare is a
And
massive issue as well. Like, thank you so much for bringing that up, because if I didn't have an amazing husband that's willing to do all of the cooking, all the washing, do his own jobs, or his job that he earns money, the drop off and the pick up, and do all of that stuff on top of all the stuff I do, so I can go to conferences. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to go either. So I think women do obviously have I hate to call it, but the burden of childcare often falls, because I see these blokes at these conferences, they've got kids and they're just completely unaffected by it. Like, it doesn't even factor into their decision. So, like, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think it also plays towards also the partnership, what you just said as well. There's usually the male and female, the yin and the yang, being able to both understand, I think, the importance of this and why it's important, so that, even if one partner doesn't understand it fully, they understand the importance of it. And that enables, much more free time. Like me with my 2 eldest, I raised my 2 eldest like practically, like all of their life. And when I first started going to conferences, it was more the partner that I was with that, I was able to work with, because she understood, what the importance was of what I was doing. So I think it plays to both sides as well. Definitely, but it is obviously, more common that it rests upon the woman to look after the children or the home. Sorry, I don't want to segue too much. I know we've got 2 more questions coming up here from. I can't remember who was up here first. I think it might have been Holly just before you, Efrat, as well. So let Holly go first, Efrat, and then you can go straight after.
Thank
Hi
you.
all.
Thanks. Hey,
Hi all. Happy
Suze.
to.
Hey, Claire. Hey, everyone.
Oh,
Holly first or Ifat first?
Holly
Sure.
first. Holly just
No
by a
problem.
smidgen first, and then we'll get you up,
No
Efrat.
problem.
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Okay, great. I was just curious, this feels like we're talking about women's gatherings, and I'm getting the impression kind of European based. And I'm curious if anyone here has been to some of the larger, gatherings that Nat Brunel has put together at the national conferences. I mean, the last couple of conferences I was at, we had, I don't know, 70, 80, 90 women, at an evening gathering. And then Bit Black Boom, same thing, smaller group. So I've been to and volunteered at a lot of the conferences, the national, specific Bitcoin, Bit Black Boom, Unconfiscatable, and it's great to be able to get these larger groups of women there, depending on the size of the conference. So it feels like we're kind of talking European. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct, Holly. I actually was thinking about that for the closing to mention before we go, because we forgot to mention. Yes, we are mainly European focus. We said women, Bitcoin, and Europe. It's not to say that we would exclude anyone from other areas, but there is a women of Bitcoin very active in North America. There is another lady that we are in touch with who is doing Latam, sort of Spanish speaking. Obviously, there is the German speaking Femme Orange, which is way more established already, and they are pretty big. And I don't know of anyone in the Pacific region, but we are planning to be mainly Europe, UK and Europe, but English kind of Europe focused.
Got it. Got it. And, it'd be great, obviously, if we can kind of coordinate all these groups in terms of supporting each other, sharing resources, all of those kinds of things. So we're not just these little splinter groups,
Definitely,
in different,
we are
yeah,
coordinating. Obviously, I don't know. It would be great to know the groups you are talking about. We know the Femme Orange, that's Rachel, that Claire mentioned earlier.
yes.
The lady from Latam, I coordinate with her. I'm originally from Spain, so we just had a Spanish chat every so often. And then I understand, correct me guys if I'm wrong, and Natalie Brunel and Val are kind of leading the US, North America region.
Natalie has been, for the past couple of years, just because she's so visible.
Yes.
Everybody knows Nat, right? And when she says, "Hey, let's get everybody together," everybody shows up, which
Yeah.
is just fabulous. So it's been great. I'm not going to the national this year, but I went the last couple of years, and it was wonderful being able to meet so many women in Bitcoin and just kind of like, establish those connections that continue, obviously after the conference and deepen.
Yes.
And I think we're all feeling that desire, and need, especially, I mean, my own background, I was in advanced tech and finance way back when, super masculine environments. And it's, and way, way, way back when, used to be a programmer for tech and finance. And we need to know that we're out there,
Yeah.
because it is, as people have mentioned, primarily male based, just because it is tech and finance. Um, and so be able to get everybody together and share resources and support each other is really important. And I'm super happy to be, in that role and to support in whatever way I can.
Please, if we can take it offline, we would love to speak with you and see how we can coordinate this group, because that's the idea, to operate under an umbrella, kind of, not just as separate.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy to support however I can. So,
Brilliant. Thank you.
sure.
Great question and input there, Holly. And just while we're on that subject, there was another lady who was very interested in joining this space, a lady called Electra Frost, who she is starting a similar thing, or she's involved with some similar movements out in Australia. So I'll definitely put her in touch with you guys as well. She's very interested in joining, but obviously Australian time. Yeah. So
Great.
yeah. Okay. Right. So Efra, next question.
Oh, thank you. Hey, everyone. I actually wanted to share from my experience from the previous question that was asked, if women are applying and being rejected or they're not actually applying to speak. So I just want to share from my experience. I've been in the Bitcoin space for about 2 years, but only for the past 1 year I started speaking at conferences. And I spoke at 3 conferences so far. And the first conference I spoke at, I actually, on my own, approached the organizers and asked them if I could speak. And they said, yeah, you were on my radar anyway. I was about to invite you. So great, let's do it. So the first one was my own initiative. And then the second and third were pushed by other male friends, colleagues. So once they saw me speaking in the first conference, they were like, okay, you got to speak at Bitcoin Atlantis. Let me introduce you to the organizer. And then he introduced me. The organizer was not really keen or interested in letting me speak because they didn't know me. But the guy vouched for me in a way. And I did a Zoom call with him, which I had to kind of pitch my idea to him. And after a long follow-up, he agreed that I will speak. So I did, and he was happy. And then the next one, also another guy that saw me speaking, which is a conference organizer, spoke to the guys from Prague and told them, let her speak, she's good. And they didn't know me, so they didn't want me to speak. At the beginning, they said no. And I had to kind of push. And the guy that recommended me had to follow up like 3 times until they allowed me to, to take a go at it. And it was, I mean, I understand them. They just didn't know me, but I don't know if they do that with everyone, or is it because I'm a woman? I guess it's not. I guess that any new person that comes and says, I want to speak, they have to vet that because they do have a lot of speakers and a lot of people wanting to participate. However, I think that women do tend to be more careful and afraid with approaching and with feeling secure and of feeling confident enough in pitching themselves. So I think that we are definitely having less women apply. Also, from my conversation with some really, really smart Bitcoiner females, I always tell them, go and suggest yourself, or I will introduce you to the organizers. Because just like the boys have the boys club, it doesn't matter. It's not about the women's club or the boys club. It's about helping each other. So if we all find good friends, whether they're males or females, it doesn't matter. We just continue recommending each other to events or organizers or whatever it is. It can be even other opportunities, pitching for writing an article in the paper. So we just need to be active about it and help each other to do that. So I'm not sure that there's a men-woman thing here. I definitely think that there is a woman thing with applying and with finding the courage to apply and say, okay, I'm smart enough and good enough to talk about this topic or that topic, and really find the courage. Because to be honest, I see so many men speaking that sometimes they're not great, and women, it's
Oh my God, I
oh,
walked out of 2 because they were so
yeah.
boring.
There are many boring men in Prague, I must
Yes.
say. But
Oh
they're
my God,
full of
yes.
confidence, and that's very different.
Yeah,
It's the same
that is
in
different.
job interviews. Women have to come to and apply for a job when they think that they fit the job at a level of about 80% and more, 75% and more, and men can go when they think they fit the job for like 25-30% match. So it's been proven scientifically in surveys and stuff. And so I
But
know we have an
can you know
issue
you
there.
said you said about the you didn't know if it was a woman thing or not, and I don't know either. But I approached the organisers of Prague 3 times and was ignored each time. And it was only when I said, "Hey, I've got this event in London that I'm organising with BP UK. Do you want to come?" Because I knew that they're in the UK. And then he sent something back about a value for value. I didn't really understand the message at all, but I'm thinking, I'm just asking for a press pass so I can come and write about your event. Like, why are you
Yeah.
ignoring me? You
Mm,
gave me your card. I've reached out to you 3 different times via 2 different methods, and it was like pulling teeth.
mm,
And I couldn't understand why. And I remember Rachel saying that they contacted her because they wanted to organise that women's event, but they
mm,
wanted to have it at the end of the conference. And she's like,
mm,
absolutely not. It has to be at the beginning. But it felt like for them, it was a tick box. It was like, oh yeah, have your women's event. We'll have to keep you happy. And I don't think I got the right kind of vibe from those guys. But I can't
mm.
say if it was intentional or not, but I experienced a similar thing, and I just wanted a press pass so I could write about it.
Yeah.
Incredible. In any case, Efrat, 10 out of 10 for persistence and determination.
Thank you.
And we need you in one of our events to come and speak to the
I
women.
would love that. Thank you.
I
I would
also
love
saw
that.
your
I'm
talk.
actually this is funny because once it started to work, I mean, once they allowed me to take my opportunity and go prove myself, you know, we always say proof of work and do my talks. They see that I speak well, and so they invite me to come to more and more events to speak. So now that like kind of the doors open and I have another 4 or 5 events booked until the end of the year, which is great. And now I'm happy to help any other female that wants to speak. You know, like introduce to the organizers of any conference that I go to.
There's definitely some inertia that
Well,
needs to be gotten over, you know, in terms of it being primarily male and, you know, all the speakers that they're accustomed to. And
Mhm.
there's definitely some kind of, I hate to say pushing against that needs to happen, you know, but
Definitely. And with
persistence.
two good Bitcoiner females that I know, I have actively told them, you need to speak and you need to speak because you're very good speakers, both of you. And I introduced already one of them to a conference organizer. And I suggested it. They didn't even think about it themselves. They're thinking about coming as audience. But come as this, if you're already going there, you should speak. You're great. You know? Yeah.
and you know what, right? I'm gonna attempt to speak for most of the men, at least here. Is that, you know, that we definitely want to see women at events. Like I've never gone, like, you know, I've been to so many conferences, and when I'm there, I'm like, hey, look, you know, we're talking and we're in the corner like, why isn't there more women representation? Like, why isn't there more women coming up to speak? Like, you know, people will say, you know, oh, my wife, she's a little bit interested in it, you know, she finds it a bit daunting. But I think that that's what the general consensus is that some women find it a little bit daunting because the space is primarily kind of like, you know, filled with males. I can definitely say that us at Coinscrum, we, you know, try to create the safest and most open spaces that we can create. Um, and every time that me and Nick are doing an event, you know, we have this thing where we are like, okay, well, we've got 2 guys, we need to get like 2 women if we can. And I think because Coinscrum has been, you know, Bitcoin first, obviously, for so long, what obviously, which has been a blessing, obviously, with this space and with linking up with you all, is that you know, we've been trying to push this for like a very long time. Like every time we're doing an event, we're like, hey, what women can we find in Bitcoin that are gonna actually understand this from a Bitcoin first perspective? So it's yeah. But right, we've literally got like 1 minute to wrap up. So I'm gonna, because I brought you up here, Bota, I'm going to allow you to ask your question also. And then once you've asked your question, we'll get some answers from the speakers, and then we shall close out. But thank you, Efrat, for your question also.
Um, Hi guys, hi everyone. It just very nice to have this event here on X Space. But I have a question: is how to get on this all women events, because we've never get invited to any women's event. So it's kind of curious. Should we add ourselves to the list, or how does it work?
I believe Claire is managing the ex Twitter account that we have. We are only starting now, but I believe that would be the best way to get you know, to get involved now. Is that right, Claire? Could you say that's the
Yeah,
best way
we
now?
are. Well, ours is all new, but yes, we have this Twitter handle now, and we also have a Telegram group, which I think I posted the link in the notes underneath for anyone to join. But that's just my small group in the UK. There is now a big Les Femmes Orange English speaking Telegram group. And yeah, I don't know how, I mean, luckily I've managed to see these things, but when I was in Prague, I was telling so many women about the event the day before and giving them the QR code. So I think at least 20 to 30 women signed up in the last 24 hours because they had no idea about it. So I don't know how the word's getting out, but that certainly it does need to be worked on. It really does.
And I think more, I mean, this was for this group, but I think more in general, if you were thinking in terms of conferences, you know, how to get invited to women events in conferences or events. I'm thinking of the bigger conferences. Some of the conferences have incorporated a Women of Bitcoin event, like the one we were talking about in Madeira. And moving forward, we are going to try to have a presence in as many as we can within the resources and time we have. It's not to say we will have presence in all of them, but we will try to have a presence in each of the major ones.
Right, amazing. Do we want to get any last words from Christina? Let's get one last sentence from everybody today. Let's change it up a little bit. Right, so let's let Bitcoin go first, so that he's not the last person, and that one of you are one of our three lovely speakers are the last. So let's go around, get one line from each person for everyone to remember once they leave this space.
Thank you for starting this, and I hope we do lots of stuff together in the future. And everybody go follow their Twitter handle, and there's a Telegram, I think, attached to a space somewhere. That's me.
I'll go next. If you are a woman, you have a passion for Bitcoin, you want to create positive change in the world, join us. And if you have friends who are females and want to do the same, invite them, join us. Thank you.
I just also want to thank Coinscrum for their help with all this and their advice, and also for Susie for putting us onto this as well. But Christina and I are totally new to this, and we've just seen a need in English-speaking part of Europe and the UK. So if anyone would like to help us or has any expertise or advice, we're totally happy to hear anything, would welcome anything. But yeah, thank you for this event today.
Susie, one last word from yourself before we close down the space.
I was thinking about this. I haven't really got anything to add, except I hope that you have so much success that you make yourselves obsolete and it's no longer needed, because I don't want there to be any kind of segregation in this space. And I do think it's a little bit sad that we have to do this. And I don't want there to be any divides between us, because we are stronger together, and that should be the aim. And I know that you will do such a good job that you'll make it obsolete.
That is it. Humans together strong, man and woman and child together strong. Okay, right. Listen, everybody, thank you very much for coming out to what is now the fourth Coinscrum space. We shall be doing this again with these wonderful ladies again in the coming months. And as they said, look out for, make sure you follow them, make sure you follow all the speakers actually, and all the people that ask questions. And look out for that IRL event coming up in September. Thanks again, everybody, for attending. Thanks for all your wonderful questions. Thanks for your time, ladies. And we are out of here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.